All right. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get folks checked in here. I have, looks like, is it Chris Back and Catherine Austin? If you could go ahead and unmute, just confirm that's correct. And
yeah, it's Chris Back and Catherine Augustine.
Got it. Okay. It's weird. I don't know why it came up different on my sheet. Augustine spelled the normal way.
If there is a normal way,
Augustine.
No E at the end.
No E at the end. Oh, okay. All right. I would say that's not the normal way, but you probably know better than I do. Okay. So I see we also have, well, we did have Greg. Where did he go? He's trying to rejoin. We have Wes Menzel from the City Zoning Department. Welcome, Wes.
Hello.
And let's see if we can get Greg back in the game here.
Kind of lost connection here.
Saw that you it's like can you hear us okay now?
Yeah, I can. Can you? My video's not showing up on the screen. Can you see me?
We can. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You look marvelous.
Thank you. Thank you. You do too, Wes.
It is Greg, right? Greg Tilsley.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Welcome, everyone. I need to, before we get started, read through our hearing script that will cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we will go ahead and get into it. So this is the June 28th, 2023 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. The case before us today is case number ZH20230079. The purpose of this hearing is to allow the applicants and any potential opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If we did have anyone here from the public, they would have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. I will give the zoning plans examiner, Wes Menzel, an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to his staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, I'll allow Mr. Tilsley, and to the extent the owners would like to contribute to the discussion, tell me about the project, what they're proposing, and why, of course, they think that the relief that they're requesting should be granted. I'll go over to Wes, allow Wes to chime in addition to his staff report. I'll have some questions along the way. You guys can make any closing statements, and then we'll wrap it up. After all presentations have been made, I'll close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. In the event of any technical difficulties, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those as they come up. But if there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. If you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, really doing anything other than just strictly observing, then the zoning code requires that I swear you in. So if you believe that is you, I'd like to just collectively swear everyone in right now. If you're not sure if you're going to say anything, I can always swear you in later, but if you think you might, let's go ahead and jump off of mute. I need everyone to raise their right hand and to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. All right. Thanks, everyone. Greg, will you be taking the lead on this presentation?
Yes, I'll get started here.
Sure. Floor is yours.
Okay, great. First off, thanks for hearing us today. And thanks, Wes, for helping guide us through this process. We understand how important this is to, document everything properly and get everything executed. The property is located at 951 Paradrome Street, which is at the corner of Paradrome and Loudon. The property is approximately 79 feet by 25 feet wide. And which is kind of unusual for Mount Adams. Most properties are 25 feet by 1,000 feet wide, and it's located in RMX district. And it's right on the edge of what is Mount Adams Commercial Business District, which is right up the street on St. Gregory. Plus the Playhouse in the Park is across the street. So it's kind of a interesting mixed area here. The owners have owned the property for a few years, and have taken it on to make some improvements to it. And it is, the main house is on Paradrome, and that there is a open garage on the south side of the property on the Loudon Street side. It is has a rooftop deck on top of the garage, and it has a space which you can enter onto from the back of their house and enjoy it for outdoor. I want to point out too that because of the size of the property, this is the only outdoor space that they have. So this is their only really opportunity to enjoy being outside. So they wanted to make improvement as much as they could. So they called me early in the year, and put together some design ideas, and it includes putting a little outdoor kitchen up there, and we'll have a grilling area, a little 6-foot high privacy screen. Actually, there's already screens up there, so we're just making improvements to those, kind of adding to the character of the space. And then we wanted to add on to the lattice structure that's already there. Right now, there's a trellis or lattice piece that comes off the back of the house, extends out approximately 8 feet. So really, to kind of complete the design, they wanted to just extend that over to the south edge of the property, which would be the property line at the edge of the garage there. I'm not going to put a roof on it, just a place to create some shading and shelter, put some lights in there, and also maybe a ceiling fan, hang plants, those kind of things, just kind of create really kind of a nice environment for being outside. So once we kind of investigated, we realized that we were going to need a rear yard setback of 20 feet, or a variance of 20 feet. Even though the garage is right on the property line, we're not extending any further past what the garage is, even though there's a 6-foot screen wall there. We're not really exceeding the height of that screen wall more than 3 or 4 feet. When you look at the strict interpretation of the code, we were going to require a variance. So we put together these documents to illustrate the design and request a variance. And we think that, you know, because of the code and some of the situations here, the strict interpretation of the code would be detrimental to being able to improve this deck. We don't think that we're doing anything that's contrary to the intent of the RMX districts. Matter of fact, if you look around the neighborhood, there are a lot of houses that have trellis structures on their roofs, on the back of their houses, on the side. It's a kind of a very common technique that you might see. And we think that it's very compatible with the design of the house that's already there. So I'm sure you reviewed the pictures carefully, and you can see there's a lot of detail and ornamentation on it. This just adds to the whole character of the house. And their goal is to, you know, add a benefit to themselves, but also to improve the neighborhood and as a whole, because you know, they take pride in living here in Mount Adams, great neighborhood. any improvements to their property is going to add to the character and nature of the whole Mount Adams neighborhood. And I think that's how that works, you know, where people improve their houses, it improves the neighborhood. And we think that's a really important aspect of it. So we think that this is a reasonable and practical request. It's not really a complicated variance, I don't think. We just think that this, because of the unusually small dimensions of the property, we're not able to do or build this trellis structure over the top of the garage. So with that said, I think we hopefully you understand our situation and the benefits to what we're asking for here.
Okay, great. Just quick question, just to make sure I understood all the changes. Is the only thing that's requiring relief for rear setback in this case, is it just the trellis structure that extends all the way to the back lot line? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, but there are other additions going in there, but those are all permitted by right?
Yes. The setback on the guess it is the west side is 0. So we're allowed to be right on the property line there.
Right.
Setback on Loudon Street is 10 feet. Setback on the south side next to our rear neighbor is 20 feet. And that's typical because it's a rear yard, you know, but you're on a corner lot. Rear yard is almost kind of like your front yard on a corner lot. So I understand why we have a 20-foot setback in rear yards, because those are private spaces that only are part of the that residence domain. But in this case, you know, because of the short dimension and the fact that we're on a corner lot, this is kind of the circumstances that we have.
Sure. Yep, that makes sense. In fact, I was surprised to see that this was RMX. I am usually seeing SF2 zones in Mount Adams, so I could see how the RMX rear setback standards could complicate things.
Yeah. You know, this part of Mount Adams, as you head north over towards the park, a lot of it is in the RMX district.
Okay.
St. Gregory Street is, complies with that as well, because we've got a mixed use and there's businesses and so forth. You get a little bit of everything here in Mount Adams. Thankfully, we're not in a hillside district here, so we don't have to.
Another surprise.
We don't have to discuss those issues.
Right. Okay. Did Mr. Back or Ms. Augustine want to add anything?
I don't.
Tilsley's comments?
You guys spoke a lot of RMX S2 that I do not understand, so I couldn't add anything there, or Catherine. But I think Greg captured everything for us. So thanks, Greg.
Yeah, I do want to mention we're very close with our neighbors. It's a tight-knit community, so we made sure to connect with all of them and just share our design plan with them, and they were all very supportive. So
okay, great. That includes the rear neighbor then. Awesome. All right, thank you. Wes, did you want to add anything here?
I'll just highlight a couple things, like the fact that the lot depth is so shallow that there's really no other location for them to expand or use their rear yard, which is really the top of a garage. And they're just matching what's there as far as the setbacks, extending upward for the trellis structure, which is actually an open air kind of element. So it's not like it's, blocking anyone's view or that kind of thing. And I guess also, if they did have a larger yard, then they could probably do what's called an accessory structure and get, almost as close as they are to the lot line anyways. So not that that's really a direct comparison, but another element of the argument. So thanks.
Okay, thanks, Wes.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that whenever we take on a project, we always try to focus on neighborhood compatibility. You know, we run into situations where we need variances a lot. There are a lot of very unique properties in Mount Adams in these urban areas, you know, since these properties are 120 to 150 years old. A lot of things have happened and transpired. So we always try to keep an eye on appropriateness, compatibility. Does it improve the neighborhood? Does it provide additional level of quality for the owners? Doesn't really have any adverse effect on anybody. And so we think this is a very reasonable request, and we hope that you approve our variance.
Okay, well, let's leave it at that then, because I agree with you. I don't think that there are any adverse effects here. I think it's compatible with the neighborhood. It's well designed, integrates well into the existing deck there, and so I think it would be impractical to strictly enforce the zoning code to this particular application. So I am, based on the application materials and the testimony here today and the staff report, going to approve the request. Need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I mentioned at the beginning that typically takes about 2 weeks. I think that's probably realistic right now, just based on the queue of cases. The summer months typically we get a higher amount of cases, and so I'll do everything I can to get that out to you as soon as possible. Once I'm done writing the decision, I put it into PDF, I email it to you guys, so it'll be in your inboxes really just moments after it's complete. As soon as you have that, Wes can approve the permitting for the zoning, and hopefully you can move forward at that point.
Great.
Any questions about any of that?
No, it's clear on my part. I don't know, Chris or Catherine, you have any questions?
No,
No.
not at all.
Just thank you
Okay.
very much.
Great.
Sure, absolutely.
right.
If anything comes up, any questions, or you'd like a status update on the decision, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to provide that to you. But otherwise, good luck with the project. Hope you guys enjoy it out there, and